A good few months ago, I posted a video about the Honda CT125 concept bike, and the reception in the comments was overwhelmingly positive. From all parts of the world, commenters said that if Honda sold this tiny off-roader in their market, they'd take one. And just last week in a virtual event, Honda announced that they'll actually be selling the CT125, or Hunter Cub as they've called it, to the Japanese market in 2021. So in today's video, we'll take a look at the full details that they've released. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see more of the latest motorcycle news right here on YouTube, then please do remember to hit subscribe. The Hunter Cub isn't exactly a new idea. The Trail Cub existed many years before it, and the CT110 was extensively used by the Australian Postal Service, but the 2021 version brings it up to date with a bunch of tweaks. Essentially, it's an adventure version of the current Super Cub. Honda say in their press release that it expands the Super Cub's enjoyment as a means of transportation to various outdoor leisure activities such as touring to the suburbs and camping. It's a model with functionality. They've made changes to ensure that it can cope with both urban duties as well as trails and uneven surfaces. Suspension travel has been increased from about 90mm to 110, and reinforcements have been made around the head tube to ensure that it can cope with the additional stress of off-roading. There's a high-level exhaust which functionally keeps it out of harm's way, but also adds a scrambler aesthetic to the Cub. It also has a high-mounted intake duct which should help to reduce the amount of dust inhaled, as well as a side-mounted air filter which ought to be easier to access and clean. There's also a bash guard under the engine to protect it from rocks, and disc brakes are used both front and rear, whereas the Super Cub has a disc at the front but a drum at the rear. The Hunter Cub uses one-channel ABS, which is to say that it only has ABS on the front wheel, whereas the rear is free to slide around, which ought to make it a bit more fun to ride off-road. The tyres are noticeably more chunky with deeper treads that will offer more grip on loose surfaces, and the wheels are spoked as opposed to the cast wheels on the Super Cub, making them more durable. Bodywork is way more stripped back and functional, doing away with the plastic leg guards, which means that there are less things to break if you drop it on the trails. The geometry has also been revised with 20mm added to the seat height, bringing it up to 800, and higher bars which ought to make for a more comfortable standing position. The wheelbase has also been extended by 10mm to 1255, adding a bit of stability, and ground clearance has also been increased from 125mm to 165. That's quite a big difference of 40mm and should make for a much more able bike over obstacles. It also offers more range than the Super Cub with a 5.3 litre tank as opposed to 3.7 litres. Honda quote a fuel consumption figure of 67 kilometers per litre, which equates to about 350 kilometers or 220 miles. That's approximately 70 more miles of range, which is not bad at all. The engine is, however, pretty much the same, using an air-cooled 4-stroke overhead cam 124cc single with an automatic centrifugal clutch and semi-automatic 4-speed transmission. But because of the revised air intake, there's a bit less power and a bit more torque, which is ideal for the bike's intended purpose. Peak power is now claimed to be 8.7 horsepower at 7,000 RPM, and peak torque is 11 Nm at 4,500 RPM. For reference, the Super Cub makes 10.4 Nm at 5,000. The Hunter Cub also features a kickstart as well as an electric starter, presumably as a fallback in case you can't get it started and you're in the middle of nowhere. There are some nice little styling points on this bike too, with the LED headlight and square indicators, perforated exhaust guard, and general overall rugged appearance. It comes in either glowing red or matte fresco brown, and there are a couple of accessories listed on Honda's website like a power socket, heated grips, and a top box. I can see why so many people liked the concept bike, and this production version for 2021 looks like it'll deliver on what the initial design promised. It'd make an awesome little cheap second bike for local runs, and who wouldn't want to give it a go on some green lanes or gravel trails? It has a lot of improvements over the Super Cub for off-roading, like longer travel suspension, higher handlebars, more ground clearance, a bash guard, grippier tyres, no ABS on the rear, and a larger capacity tank. It's really cool to see Honda go all out with it. The list price in Japan is 440,000 yen, which is equivalent to about £3,300, so not far off the 3,449 that the Super Cub currently retails for in the UK. Finance deals for that bike start from less than £50 a month, which would surely be a tempting proposition should you choose to buy your bikes that way. At the moment, I can only see a press release on the Honda Japan website, nothing on Honda Europe, America or Australia. Here's hoping they do eventually sell it further afield, and I'll be sure to update you as soon as I hear anything. What do you guys make of it though? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think it could seriously perform off-road, or is the Super Cub chassis and motor just too limited? Let me know what you think, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.